If you had to sum up what your life is like right now, what would you say? Do you have some regrets? Um, would you know what your purpose is in life and are you fulfilling it? Let's talk about all that today in your morning cup of inspiration. You know, the Apostle Paul had quite a life. Um, from tracking down Christians and killing them, you know the story where he held Stephen's coat while he was stoned to death. From that to his miraculous conversion on the Damascus Road, and from there to writing most of the books in the New Testament through his letters that he wrote to the churches that he had started. And he did this mostly while he was in prison, which I really find amazing. But I think it's interesting that over in Acts chapter 20, I encourage you to read it, he talks about his life, and he's summing it up at this point, and he's doing this sending a letter to the church in Ephesus, one of the churches that he started. But he's summing up his life and all that he'd been through, and I think it's interesting because he says that through everything he'd been through, there's the cherry on top, which I think is great, which is verse 24. He says, "But none of these things move me, nor do I count my life dear to myself, so that I may finish my race with joy, and the ministry which I received from the Lord Jesus, to testify to the gospel of the grace of God." Now that was all in verse 24. And see, what is he saying here? He's saying all the suffering, all the pain, all the imprisonments, the one word that stands out to him is joy. He considered it joy living the life that he lived in serving God, because he was fulfilling what God had for him and what God wanted him to do. So he's essentially saying, I'm looking back on my life, and the word that stands out to me is joy. I think that's just amazing. See, he knew tribulations awaited him. He didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but he knew it wasn't going to end well. And he knew it was coming, and it was coming pretty quick at this time. But yet he had joy in his life. See, Paul knew exactly what adversity was. He had known suffering and he had known hardships, but in the midst of it all, he was saying, there is joy. And he had joy in his heart. See, Paul knew that a happy life, and especially for him and for all of us, a happy life is a holy life, a life lived for God. See, Jesus not only promised us life with him for eternity, but he also promised us a life worth living here on earth too. A life that could put joy in your heart. I hope it does, because I have joy in mine today. God bless everyone. Look forward to seeing you again for another Morning Cup of Inspiration. Have a wonderful day.